Hey guys, it's Owen from Wrestling Inc. back with another wrestling news roundup. Without any further ado, let's get into today's biggest stories in the world of professional wrestling. Major backstage update on Kenny Omega's AEW in-ring return. It's been more than 8 months since AEW fans last saw Kenny Omega, who disappeared shortly after he dropped the AEW World Championship to Hangman Adam Page at AEW Full Gear, taking time off to recover from numerous injuries. Since then, fans have been wondering when Omega would return, and at times it felt like Omega himself was wondering if he'd return at all. But a new report provides some potentially excellent news for Omega and his supporters. Fightful Select is reporting that there are tentative plans in place for Omega to make his return to AEW this September at the All Out pay-per-view as part of a trios program with longtime friends and fellow executive vice presidents, the Young Bucks. Fightful did note, however, that the situation wasn't set in stone and that things could change leading up to the event. No firm return date is set for Omega at this time, and neither he nor AEW have confirmed his return. The report comes less than a week after the Young Bucks lost the AEW World Tag Team Championships to Swerve in Our Glory, Keith Lee and Swerve Strickland on AEW Dynamite, throwing cold water on a potential rubber match for those titles between the Young Bucks and FTR, as many had speculated was coming. Dave Meltzer noted in the Wrestling Observer newsletter that the Bucks were expected to be involved in a major angle this fall, and Fightful's report confirms that major angle involves the cleaner. It's unknown who else would be involved in the angle with Omega and the Bucks. Before taking time off, tension had been teased between Kenny Omega and fellow Elite member Adam Cole, who would go on to add Kyle O'Reilly and Bobby Fish to the group in Omega's absence, turning the Elite into the undisputed Elite in the process. Now Cole himself is recovering from both a concussion and a torn labrum, while O'Reilly is out with an undisclosed injury. There is currently no timetable for their respective returns. Should Omega make his way back to AEW, it is likely to increase speculation on the introduction of All Elite Wrestling Trios Championships, which have long been speculated and anticipated by fans. In the past, AEW owner, president, head of creative and CEO Tony Khan has stated that AEW Trios title bouts had been created, but that he had held off introducing them until Kenny Omega returned so that he and the Bucks could compete for the titles. Kenny Omega was the third ever AEW World Champion in All Elite Wrestling history and currently holds the record for the longest AEW World Championship reign at 346 days before dropping the championship to Hangman Adam Page at Full Gear last year. In a recent interview with Fightful, Kenny Omega opened up on the lengthy list of injuries he had been working through before taking time off last year. Quote, "When I'd start to compile a list as to what is hurting, not just hurting, but what it is that isn't going to heal on its own, the list was just too long. And I knew that as soon as I got into a position where I knew that the company was going to be okay, and I knew that I wasn't going to leave everybody hanging or devalue a bout or something, that I needed to take that time to finally get things straightened out." Omega has been dealing with a steady case of vertigo since 2017 after competing in the G1 Climax semi-final match against Kazuchika Okada. Vertigo is the feeling that the world is moving around you, and the former champion detailed the symptoms he began feeling it after he went down. Quote, "I had taken one of Okada's drop kicks, and it was just one of those strange, it happens once every million times, the way that he turns over on the drop kick and the way that I had felt pull me right underneath his knee, so he kind of did this back-flipping knee drop onto my temple. And I guess it put something out. It put out my C1 in my neck. I thought it was just more of like a traumatic blow, like blunt force trauma type of thing, because it's a big knee drop on my head. But what I didn't realize until the day after in the morning was that something was out and something was wrong. As soon as I tried to stand up, I fell over. You know, like you think you're going to walk straight, but you're walking at an angle. And I fell into a dresser and knocked over a bunch of stuff. It was rough." Omega would realize the vertigo would be at its worst when he'd lay flat on his back, and he had to make adjustments during the finals of the G1. Quote, "I had just put it in my head, knowing I was going to do in that match, in the main event, that whatever I do, I have to avoid being on my back flat a lot and try to be on my side, or at least reset to a side position as quickly as I could, regardless of what happened in the match," end quote. Whilst on a Twitch stream earlier this month with CEO Gaming, the former IWGP World Heavyweight Champion and longest reigning AEW World Champion indicated that another injury setback could mean the end for his in-ring career. Quote, "If I get another major setback, that's it, I'm done. Because I can't do this ever again," Omega said. 2 times, 3 times a day, really painful rehab. What's it going to be like when I get back in the ring? I have no idea. Scary, actually. There is a different kind of expectation put on me," Omega continued, "and I think that anything less than what the fans are expecting, which is already unrealistic, is going to lead to a lot of ridicule." So what are your thoughts on today's Wrestling News Roundup? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Be sure to like and subscribe to Wrestling Inc. and I'll speak to you again very, very soon.